everyone is selfish. You, me, and every single hero in your favorite movies. We all want things for ourselves. So why does selfishness make some people villains, but not others? Gravity Falls actually gives us two incredibly selfish tricksters with the exact same talent for lying, manipulating, and making deals. But while one of them ends up as our favorite uncle, the other becomes one of the greatest villains in animation history. So how do we spot the difference between good and bad selfishness, and how do we write a selfish villain? One of the very first things to do here is to differentiate between a selfish character and a selfish villain. As we mentioned earlier, everyone is selfish in one way or another. Every character wants something, and many of them end up hurting someone else while chasing it. In Gravity Falls, there are mainly two protagonists, the twins Mabel and Dipper. These 12-year-olds who spend a summer with their great uncle Stan, or Grunkle Stan, show us how selfish they can be on many occasions. For example, in the episode Boys Crazy, Mabel rescues the members of several times after discovering they have spent years trapped by their producer. That sounds heroic until she immediately locks them inside her own room because she enjoys having an entire boy band obsess over her. She replaces one prison with another, simply because it makes her happy.
You're gonna have to stay here, probably forever!
What? You can't listen to her!
Beneath all the glitter and optimism in Mabel sits a streak of selfishness that keeps showing up whenever she wants something badly enough. Dipper has the same problem. His selfishness simply wears a different face. Whenever Wendy enters the picture, his judgment flies out the window, even though it means breaking his sister's heart. But their Grunkle Stan takes selfishness several steps further. For most of the series, long before anyone learns why he built the Mystery Shack or who he really is, he comes across as an unapologetic scam artist who enjoys taking advantage of people. Every fake exhibit, ridiculous attraction, and overpriced souvenir exists for one reason: to separate tourists from their money.
When you put your money in, it mysteriously disappears.
Alex Hirsch, the creator of Gravity Falls, revealed that he made Grunkle Stan and Bill Cipher thematic foils. And when you look at them, you notice that they are very similar in a lot of ways. Bill is basically Grunkle Stan, but with godlike cosmic powers and a much better hat.
You're insane! Sure I am. What's your point?
Both Bill and Stan survive by making deals, spotting weaknesses, and convincing people to hand over exactly what they need. Stan tricks tourists with fake monsters and made-up stories because he wants their money. Bill pulls the same trick, even though on a much larger stage. He studies people, figures out what they desperately want, and then offers them a deal that sounds too good to refuse. Stan ignores rules whenever they get in his way, whether that means tax evasion, counterfeiting money, or vandalizing competing businesses. Bill treats the laws of the universe with the same level of disrespect. When Time Baby tries to stop Weirdmageddon, Bill wipes him out without a second thought because any authority standing between him and his goal simply becomes another obstacle to remove. Even the Pines twins become pieces in both of their games. Stan views Mabel and Dipper as free labor for the Mystery Shack, while Bill sees two emotional weak points he can exploit to reach forward and escape his prison. But even better is the fact that for a large part of the series, the audience has no idea what either Stan or Bill is truly up to. That raises an interesting question. If Stan lies, manipulates, scams innocent people, exploits Dipper and Mabel, breaks laws whenever he feels like it, and proudly puts himself first, then why does nobody call him the villain? Why does Bill become one of animation's greatest villains, while Stan becomes one of its most beloved characters? The answer reveals the first lesson in writing a selfish villain. Stan's biggest moment arrives at the very end of the series, when Bill locks him up with his twin brother Stanford. I still can't get over the fact that they named one kid Stanley and the other Stanford. Some parents really do need an ass whooping. Anyway, Bill Cipher has successfully turned Gravity Falls into a nightmare, but he wants to take his evil global. Except to do that, he has to enter Ford's mind to retrieve a secret. But the crazy thing here is that Ford also knows that the only way to stop Bill is to let him enter his mind so he can be erased with the memory gun. Unfortunately, this will also erase the entire memory of the person whose mind Bill enters, aka Ford. But Ford prepares to make that sacrifice himself because he believes there's no other choice. This is where Grunkle Stan steps in. In one last con, the greatest trickster in Gravity Falls switches clothes with Ford and tricks Bill into entering the wrong mind. Bill opens the door, expecting Ford, and instead finds Stan happily playing paddleball inside the Mystery Shack.
Clear your... What?
By the time Bill realizes the trap, it is already too late. Outside, Ford fires the memory gun, and inside Stan's mind, the room begins to disappear along with every memory Stan has ever made. Bill suddenly drops his usual confidence and desperately tries to bargain his way out, but Stan stands his ground and reminds Bill that his biggest mistake was messing with his family before punching him out of existence. The same man who spent years lying, cheating, and scamming willingly gives up his own identity so his family and the rest of Gravity Falls can live. This is the ultimate sacrifice. Stan chooses to become an empty shell just to keep others safe. Even when we look back at the show, we see that this selflessness was always there. For 30 long years, Stan lived a double life. He hid in the basement of the Mystery Shack, ran illegal scams, forged money, and hoarded cash. He did all of these bad things to fund the repair of the portal he used to pull his brother Ford back from the multiverse.
My brother.
Is this the part where one of us faints?
Even his smaller acts of selflessness are worth mentioning, such as when he petitioned the government to remove July 13th from the calendar completely. He did this because July 13th is Seuss's birthday, and Seuss gets incredibly sad on his birthday because his father never shows up. All these acts of selflessness are where the line is drawn. Selfish characters can be greedy, but their selfishness has a floor. When things get serious, they will cast aside their desires to protect the people they love. But Bill never reaches that point. Every deal Bill makes begins and ends with Bill. Even his own henchmaniacs follow him mostly because they fear him.
Even with our newfound infinite power...
Bill rules through fear, and transactionalism is the only relationship he understands. The moment someone stops being useful, he throws them aside without a second thought. And that is the first lesson Bill Cipher teaches us about writing a selfish villain. Every selfish character wants something. A selfish villain wants something too, but every choice, relationship, and conversation circles back to one person. Them. They never reach the moment where somebody else becomes more important than their own desires. They never trade their dream for another person's happiness. Bill carries that mindset from his first appearance to his last, which is exactly why he stays a villain until the very end. So, congratulations, we've just villainized selfishness. Now comes the interesting part. One of the problems with writing a selfish villain is that people generally do not like selfish people, especially when they can identify them. That is why one of the smartest ways to write a selfish villain is to make them a charming salesman. And Bill Cipher teaches this lesson better than almost anyone else. Think back to the very first impression he gives when Gideon initially summons him. He floats into the story wearing a tiny bow tie and a top hat. He cracks jokes and throws around funny one-liners. Even his famous goodbye, where he rambles about reality being an illusion before yelling, "Buy gold, buy," sounds like something a weird game show host would say.
Remember, reality is an illusion, the universe is a hologram, buy gold, buy!
There's something fun about him, and your brain wants to keep listening because he's entertaining. Even his voice helps sell the illusion. Most of the time, it sounds playful, energetic, and almost childlike. Psychology provides a simple reason as to why this works. You see, people naturally lower their guard around someone who makes them laugh. solves their problems, or simply makes them curious. Charm creates trust, and trust creates opportunity. Bill understands that better than anybody in Gravity Falls. This is why he always begins with help, just like what he did in the episode Sock Opera. Dipper has spent days trying to unlock the laptop. Mabel has abandoned him for her puppet show, and he's completely worn out. Bill appears at exactly that moment. He talks calmly, reminds Dipper about everything he has sacrificed for Mabel, then offers one simple deal. All he wants is a puppet, but he doesn't say which puppet. And Dipper doesn't ask because Mabel has numerous puppets that anyone can choose from. Unfortunately, the puppet Bill wants is Dipper.
Sorry, kid, but you're my puppet now!
Later, he pulls another trick on Mabel. After Dipper accepts Ford's apprenticeship, Mabel runs into the woods crying because she wants summer to last forever. In that moment, Bill appears, but disguised as Blendin Blandin, the time travel guy, and gives her exactly what she wants: a magical bubble where summer never ends. Once again, Bill never forces anybody into a deal. He studies their weakness first, then wraps his selfish goal inside somebody else's dream. So here is the writing lesson Bill Cipher gives us. Selfish villains attract people before they exploit them, and solve problems before they create bigger ones. But while villainizing selfishness and masking it with charisma is good, you still need to give the selfish villain that one thing that every character needs, even before they step into the story for the first time. For a large portion of Gravity Falls, we didn't know what Bill wanted exactly. We knew he was a manipulative being with extraordinary power, but what did he actually want? What was motivating him? It was kinda strange when Gideon first summoned him, and Bill agreed to do the bidding of a kid. Just like that, when he removed the entire set of teeth from a deer and put it back easily. You could tell that this was an extremely powerful entity, so why was he still interested in making a deal with Gideon? Well, when you look back at the scene, you notice that Bill was immediately struck when Gideon mentioned Stanford Pines. He turned around, pondered for a sec, and we could tell that he probably knew who Stan was.
Wait, Stan Pines.
But at that time, we only thought it was Grunkle Stan. It all started to make sense later when Stanford was rescued from the multiverse. With his arrival, we started to understand why Bill had been terrorizing the Pine family, why he destroyed the laptop and wanted to do the same to the journals. Ford also reveals that Bill approached him many years earlier while he was studying the mysteries of Gravity Falls. Bill disguised himself as a friendly source of knowledge, feeding Ford information and pushing him toward building the interdimensional portal.
I trusted him. He said this was the way genius happened. A little help from a friend.
Ford believed he had discovered a powerful partner who wanted to unlock the secrets of the universe. Eventually, Ford discovered the truth. Bill wanted the portal for himself, so Ford shut the project down and destroyed it before Bill could cross into Earth. So suddenly, Bill's actions throughout the series make perfect sense. Then Bill finally tells everyone exactly what he wants. After entering Gravity Falls, he announces that he has spent 1 trillion years trapped inside a dying dimension while searching for a new universe to rule forever.
For 1 trillion years, I've been trapped in my own decaying dimension, waiting for a new universe to call my own.
Earth had become home, a kingdom, and a giant playground where nobody could stop him. That gives us another important writing lesson. Every selfish villain needs a selfish interest. They wake up every morning chasing one thing, and every decision points back to that goal. Bill lies, manipulates, and waits decades for it. By this point, Bill has everything a great selfish villain needs: a clear goal, endless charm, and a willingness to sacrifice anyone for it. Yet there are still some valuable pieces that need to be addressed. One very important thing about a selfish villain is that every selfish desire needs the relevant ability to chase it. Otherwise, it stays trapped as a wish. Bill Cipher wants an entire universe to himself, so Alex Hirsch gives him abilities worthy of that ambition. Even while trapped inside another dimension, Bill still reaches almost anyone through the mindscape. Gideon summons him from miles away. Dipper meets him inside his own mind, and Stanford explains that Bill first appeared to him as a mysterious source of knowledge. Distance means absolutely nothing to him, and sleep becomes another doorway he can use. But that is only a tiny glimpse of what he can actually do. Bill sees far more than ordinary characters ever could. He immediately recognizes Gideon before Gideon even introduces himself and casually reminds the terrified kid that he knows lots of things.
How do you know my name? Oh, I know lots of things.
He watches events unfold from countless places at once, reads people with frightening accuracy, and always seems several moves ahead. Every conversation becomes another opportunity to manipulate someone into making a deal. Once Bill finally enters the physical world during Weirdmageddon, his full power explodes onto the screen. He tears apart the laws of reality as though they were made of paper. Buildings bend into impossible shapes. The sky cracks open, and monsters pour into Gravity Falls. Bill even reshapes living creatures for fun, treating the entire town like a toy box, where every rule exists for his entertainment. But of course, with great power comes great weakness. Or how was the saying again? Anyway, Bill spends most of the series looking for ways around his limits, because even someone as dangerous as him has rules holding him back.
Get that equation directly out of your mind!
Not so fast. You know the rules, Bill.
Another thing holding him back is the natural law of weirdness magnetism. This law traps him inside Gravity Falls, preventing him from spreading chaos across the rest of the world. Also, unicorn hair blocks his influence. Ford's metal plate keeps Bill out of his mind, and Bill can only possess a living person after they willingly shake his hand. Even his famous eye is a weak spot, and whenever someone lands a hit there, it takes a while to regenerate.
I see everything! Ow! Not again! Why? Every time!
These limits keep every confrontation interesting because the heroes always have a chance to fight back. But Bill's biggest weakness lives inside his own personality. His pride blinds him every single time. He believes he always has the smartest plan in the room, so he stops checking the small details. During sock opera, Mabel notices that the Bill-controlling Dipper grows exhausted because he has no idea how tired Dipper's body already is. That mistake gives Dipper the opening he needs to take control again. Later, during the series finale, Bill becomes so obsessed with catching Dipper and Mabel that he doesn't notice when Grunkle, Stan, and Ford switch clothes. He walks straight into Stan's mind, believing victory is already his. And that was what led to his ultimate end. Bill Cipher shows us how to write a selfish villain, but DreamWorks has several other tricks up their sleeve, which Hollywood keeps overlooking. Go check out our previous video, which talks about what DreamWorks understands about evil that Hollywood doesn't.